Hello and welcome in this video about shading. So tonight we're gonna take a look on the shading of Maya Basic. So when you're gonna download Maya 2022, you're gonna have Arnold as a native renderer. So a renderer is basically one of the solutions you're gonna use to generate material, lighting, and render the image. So it's like the way to physically or not calculate an image. So let's have a look. First, we're gonna create a sphere just to have an item to play with. We're gonna create Arnold material. So we right click, assign a material, and here on the Arnold, so you have favorites, all the standard stuff native on Maya, and the Arnold here. If it's not Arnold, if you're using another software, just plug a shader, and we're gonna just go to something really basic to understand what a shader is. So we go for the standard material, standard surface, like this. So as you see, there is multiple choice. This one is the generic one we can use to do a lot of type of material. So you have to understand those first parameters. So the color here is what we call the diffuse. So it's the color of the image of the material based on the UV. So the UV are here, and here, as you see, there is a plain UV. So UV is basically this item like in a flat image to paint or add a texture based on the polygon. So if you see this face is this face here, and this face and this face, and you can see here how is it. So basically, if I assign an image, let's say I go into create here color, I put a file. So basically I click on this label color here, the white and black and white square here, and I have access to the Maya 2D, 3D textures and stuff. So we can add a lot of stuff here, but we can add a file. So there is some stuff native on Maya. So basically the checker, for example, if you press 6, you're gonna have 6 on the numpad. You're gonna have what we call the shading view. So we're gonna see the textures and kind of a preview of what it is. So when I click on I'm clicking on the sphere, and you see on the last stuff there is the material. We can rename this material later. And here on the color, we see now we have this little arrow and a square. That means if you click here, you're gonna go directly into the linked image. So here, as you can see, this is a checker. We can see the color. If you put the red color, it's changing here, and the blue color is changing here. And as you see on the UV, if you click here, you see the UV is basically saying, okay, this square here is having a red texture, but this one is blue, you see, based on the face. So this is what the UV is like. So have a walk on it, and you're gonna understand quickly what it's about. And here on the checker, we can basically go in the 2D place texture and maybe add more coverage just to have bigger square, or less coverage to have other type of square. Oh no, it's not this one, is the repeat UV, sorry. So if I put 1 and 1, I have bigger square, but if I put like 40 and 40, I'm gonna have small stuff here, you see. So this is for like a texture. So we can plug an image as well. So if you go here, so if you want to remove what you did, you just go here and break the connection. Breaking the connection gonna allows you to just reset the node. So it's not gonna delete the node, just break the connection. So don't forget, Maya is a node system. So if you go here in the node editor, so Windows node editor is a bit advanced, but just for you to understand, is like when I plug a texture here, like let's say I put a fractal like this, you see the fractal. You see here the place to the texture is linked to the fractal. And if I select those two and I press those two arrows, I'm gonna see exactly where this is going. So it is a bit advanced. you can play with the node editor just to understand what is happening. So this surface get in the base color connection, and the fractal is connecting to the base color. When I'm in the shader and I say break connection, it just remove this connection on the color. So this is something just you have to understand about the nodal system of Maya to understand how it's processing the software. So basically we want the color to connect here, and we want maybe the fractal to have another look. So we don't gonna go so far in node editor for now. We're just gonna use the attribute editor, but if you use to nodal stuff like Nuke or some Blender shader stuff, you're gonna get used to quickly the node editor. So let's see on the color, we can see the amplitude, threshold, the ratio, all this kind of stuff, the frequency. You see, so that's good because you have a preview and you can literally play with that, you know. So that's for the color, and maybe we want to add maybe a specific specularity. So let's say, I don't know if it's doing this in, no it's not. So basically, if you here, you go in light and you do a sky dome light. And now you're gonna press the I here and press render. So what it's gonna do is you're gonna see now what you're doing here as a lighting. We can as well change the color of this, put a sphere, put a map on the color like the other color, and it's gonna be like the map with the one we want to light. So let's say we want to light with another gradient. Let's say fractal. So you see we have this kind of lighting. So if we light here, you see now is doing as an environment like a fractal noise. So it's not something we used to do, it's just for show you how to connect this. Normally here we're going to connect what we call a HDRI, so high definition image with a large range of datas to put the lighting in. And we can as well create other type of light like I show you on the previous stuff, like a mesh light. Let's say we're going to create area light like this on the side, and here when I press the render I have a light on the side here, but it's not enough stronger, so we're gonna put a 400, so we have, oof, now it's burning everything now, so 40, that's too much. So just play with the intensity, depends on the scale of your scene. And just turn the dome light. No, what's the dome light intensity? Sorry. So dome light intensity we're gonna put 0.5, and the light on the scene on the right we're gonna put maybe 100. So you can see now the light coming from the right, and here the specularity. So what is the specularity? That's the second part of the shader. So we're back on the sphere and we go into the specular here. So the roughness is 0.20. It means it's gonna be a perfect reflective surface. If you put to like 0.3, you're gonna see now the point is not very. So I'm gonna just remove the texture to show you better what is happening on the reflection. Break connection, and we're gonna put the color to pure black just to see the reflection and see what is happening on this shader. So here, as you see, this is the roughness to 0.3. So this is basically something not like a plastic or certain type of metal. If you go to 0, you're gonna see a pure reflection here. You see, we see exactly the square here reflected. And if we put something to 1, it's gonna be something really diffuse when we don't see exactly reflection. It's like more like a very matte, flat surface, you know. And we see in between, and you can see what's happening on the shader. So this is for the specularity. The weight is the amount of light you're gonna receive. So I'm not maybe using the good term, but you're gonna see here, if I put the white to 0, there is no specular. If I put to 0.5, there is a bit less than if I put this to 0. See? So if I put the roughness to 1, I have like a perfect reflection. But if I put the white very low, I have like a perfect reflection, but very small in intensity. So you want to play with this kind of parameters to set up your shadows. So roughness, so the higher is the index of refraction, and this is something, or a reflection, and you want to play with that as well on your stuff. So basically, if I'm here and I see this have this perfect here, if I put this to like 3, I'm gonna have a different type of reflection. But to see this better, we need to have like an environment with a color. So let's do here on the color, let's put a map. So we go in File, Image Name, and let's see if I can find an image quickly. Well, let's take this one. So very random image I found on my desk, and here you can see is reflecting all the environment I just put. If I want this to be another type of refraction, so it's using physical parameters, I'm gonna go here, and go and do a reflection of 1.5, and if you look well, the reflection now is really different, you see. So this is something we want to play with when we're doing shaders. So you can have specific course on the shader, and if you want to go deeply in that, you can talk to me. There is multiple type of render, there is multiple type of shader as well, but that's important to understand what's happening on your geometry. So transmission. So let's now put this. So yeah, I would say we get this to like 2. And we're gonna put some transmission now. So if I re-render, I'm gonna see now is transmitting light. So basically it means it's gonna absorb the light. So this is to 1, and I'm gonna put to 0, so you understand with and without. You see very different render, not the same stuff. So here on this blue stuff, you can keep the image. Here you can delete the last image. So that's pretty handy if you want to keep the render. So let's say you want to keep this render, put this to 1, re-render, and now what's happening is like you have both render, and you can see what is exactly happening with the change you did. So this is a good way to compare images. So if you want more depth and maybe a scatter, like a red scatter, if we render here, you're gonna see now the absorbance of the light on the inside, and this is like the scatter of your scene. So you're gonna save this image, but maybe the scatter to like a blue and with a higher depth, and you can see how it's affecting the shader. See? So all this type of stuff is some stuff you want to like experiment, work with to understand how it's working. You have some subsurface, so that's the light behind the surface, like the light you have on the skin. Like here you have some subsurface. So this is really like physical notion you can have in specific render tutorial, or if you want to ask me and I can go deeply into all of those. So emission, if you want your stuff to emit light as well. So when I put this to 1 now, it's like a sphere of light emitting this color, but at the same time having the all other parameters, you know. So if I put this to 0.2, it's gonna be all the shader plus a little emission of light. So now we are very tricking shader, and that's gonna come very unrealistic, but that's for you to understand the parameters. And finally, we have what we call on the geometry, the is in advance. Let's find the geometry, and here you have the bump mapping. So if I go in bump map and I re-put another texture here, like the not a file, but I'm gonna go for a fractal, and the depth is to 1. So if I render, now you can see. So let's put this I'm gonna remove the other parameters so you can understand what's happening with the bump. I'm gonna remove the transmission and just put the area to 1, and this like this, so that's good. And we're gonna increase the fractal to on the bump depth to 3. So as you see, I'm playing with those two stuff. It means the node after, the node before, so you can move into like the node connection. So I'm here, I'm selecting here, and I'm in the attribute editor. I select this arrow, I see the fractal, I want to see the bump, I'm here, and when I render, I can see now this is like the bump of my image, you know, the fractal. So I'm gonna go here, the roughness is to 1, let's put this to 3, this is really black, and we're gonna remove the scan light area, so we have just the light from the side. And you see there is something I feel I miss on the shader. That's okay. That's just for you to understand the what is doing here on the fractal. Okay. So here we have this, and if we remove, you see we have this, but when we put like a grid and I render with a grid, let's see if I can put the grid to let's do, so I'm not just playing for 2. So basically the bump is gonna do some relief on the geometry. So it's gonna add details on the surface. So if I go, let's do a bit of Google so you understand better. Bump map, let's put 3D map so you understand. So basically this is the kind of effect you get from a bump map. So you create the illusion of raised detail. So basically if you put some ground, this is a plane, but with the bump you're gonna have details out on the top, and you can play with that to simulate some relief without moving the surface. So that's a good way to cheat, like if you want a brick and you're playing with this kind of like without width. You see, this is the kind of details you can get with this kind of map. So yeah, this is more for texturing side, but I want you to understand everything is on this. And if you go, for example, in the Lumber shader, so the basic shader of Maya, this one, you can have as well transparency, color, bump, everything is compact in the common material attributes, and that's something you're gonna find in many types of render. So if you have some question about shading, don't hesitate to send me a message and we can go more deeply into that in the Discord, and I can get you through the shading style. Okay, so you understand as well how you can do a photorealistic material step by step, and as well you can play with to like create your own shader and, you know, have fun with this kind of renderer setups. Thanks for watching.